Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of your Frederish Cast. My name's Gary, and here I am once again. And today we're going to talk about three sports. Actually, not only three sports, but the three most popular sports in America, in the United States of America. I'm talking about football, baseball, and basketball. So, how do you feel about these sports? Do you like them? Is it, or some of them, or any of them? Here in Brazil, we don't actually have a bigger tradition over these sports, and of course, a big and necessary commentary I need to do when I'm talking about football. I'm talking about American football. All right, let us all remember that in England they say football for what we call futebol in Brazil, and for what we call futebol in Brazil, in America they say soccer. All right. So every time in this episode and in any other upcoming podcasts I'm about to do, every time I say football, I'm talking about American football. All right. That disclaimer out of the way. Let us just move on. And well, I think you already know what to do. It's Friday afternoon, sunny and cloudy here in Curitiba. So I don't know where you are, but nevertheless, it's Friday. And go grab your cup of coffee, tea, beer, whatever it takes for you to relax and join me in this rather interesting conversation, or I would say even more important conversation that we need to have, especially to broaden, to make bigger our vocabulary. When it comes to vocabulary, it's something really important because chances are, if you're studying English, if you're learning English, chances are that you wanna go to or plan to go to America one day to work, live, visit, you name it. Or at least you plan to work in companies with contact with people from other countries, but of course specifically here, United States of America, and that will help a lot. Your chats, your conversations, your small talks, maybe, because I'm about to talk about these specifics, about some specifics of the three above mentioned sports, like the seasons. There's in my opinion, a pretty interesting separation of the seasons. So people of the seasons of these three sports during the year, so that it is possible to follow the three of them. And to be honest, I'll have to ask my big buddy ChatGPT for help if people usually watch or follow the matches of these three sports during the year, like basketball lovers. How common among them is like the spectators of baseball or football, or baseball and football, and so forth. So this thing, I'm about to ask ChatGPT that because I'm a curious guy. But let us just do it without further ado. Do it, and come with me, please. Well, so we just quickly as possible already answer the question that is posed in this episode's title. What is the main sport? What is the most popular among the three biggest sports in the United States? What is it? Is that football with those aggressive and intense, but also incredibly strategic movements? Or would perhaps basketball with those big, tall guys jumping and almost flying their ways to the baskets to put the balls inside the baskets? Or maybe baseball with the bats swinging and swinging and sending the baseballs out of the stadium or out of the park, depending on where you're playing, and also a pretty strategic and aggressive to a certain level of explosion of like running out of the blue. So which one of these three sports is the more popular in the United States? And the answer to that question, according to Big Buddy ChatGPT, is drums rumbling. Yeah, football. Football is the most popular according to ChatGPT, and it brings to justify, to explain more about this answer, the fact of a viewership, that is the amount of people watching the matches in on TV, especially Super Bowl. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about it, about Super Bowl. You probably heard this before, and maybe you associate. Some people would associate with concerts, with spectacles, with shows, right? Hip hop stars, pop stars, even movie stars, but you don't necessarily relate. Some people wouldn't probably relate that to a sport, to a match, sports match, right? But that's exactly what it is. I'm gonna talk more about it, but just like finishing this part of a viewership, it says that Super Bowl is the most watched sporting event in the United States every year, drawing millions of viewers. Also because of fan base of football, because it has a broad and passionate fan base across all regions of the country. So it's not something just like more regional. So people in Florida are into this, are into football. No, it's like people in Florida are as passionate for football as people in New York, and those are equally passionate as people in California. So it's a national thing, all right? Not that the other two sports aren't, but according to ChatGPT, football is the bigger one, basically here, right? Also, another point to justify the answer is revenue, right? So follow the money, guys. It works. Even a check out public information, right? So it says that the NFL generates more revenue than other major sports leagues in the United States. Of course, we're talking about United States. Of course, soccer is much more popular than any of these three sports in Brazil, and also in West Europe or even East Europe. I think the only place in the world where soccer is less popular than football is United States. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, but yeah, maybe one or two other countries, but mostly the US, right? As for basketball, okay, so when we're talking about the football, the main acronym we need to keep in mind is the NFL. You probably heard that or saw that in a cap or on a shirt or something, and it stands for N, National, F, Football, L, League, National Football League. All right. As for basketball, we have the NBA. Again, you probably heard that before, haven't you? So it stands for National Basketball Association. It's also extremely popular, and it has big influence, and it's growing rapidly according to my resources here, my researches, especially among younger fans. Okay, so the youngsters are gradually and apparently moving more towards basketball, especially because of the influence of stars like LeBron James and Stephen Curry. Even if you're not into basketball, you probably heard these two names before, right? As for baseball, it's some of the Americans, I didn't know that before the research, but some of the Americans refer to it as America's pastime. So it is definitely easier to play, okay? So keep in mind the classic figure of a dad and a son, a father and a son in the park playing that, or even in the backyard playing that, okay? Just like throwing a ball, you know. Oh, that's for baseball. So yeah, exactly. I'm talking about baseball. Excuse me. So yeah, so throwing a ball, you know, one way to the other. How easier is baseball to be played at least to simulate a plane like that. Okay? That's not like originally playing. But even if you decide to do a quote unquote original match, Like, you need numbers, of course, but having the numbers and the gear and everything, you can play that in the park. So you don't have to go far to play that, okay? Of course, you have basketball courts all around, especially in the States. Even here in Brazil, it's not rare to find basketball courts. But imagine in the United States, it's probably one at every corner. But like, let's talk about. But even though it is harder than a park, right? There are probably more parks or open fields than basketball courts, right? So it's that's why it's called the American pastime, and that does not talk about football, because it definitely takes more people. Although you can also play in an open field, but it takes more people, and for kids, it is not. I'm so sorry if there's an American listening to me or football fan here, but it's not the most adequate sport for kids, is it? In terms of like, it's a violent sport. It takes a stronger person to play that, doesn't it? So this is the reason why baseball is the most popular. It's called America's pastime, right? And to close it off, like, that's why you see in movies the classical and typical dad and son, throwing each other a baseball at the end of the day in the backyard, in a park, or you name it. Okay, so that's it. So the most popular is football. The second most popular is basketball, and baseball is the third most popular. But it's like the most, how can I put it? It's historically significant. All right, everybody respects that, but they're not too much into it as they are to the other, as compared to the other two. Okay, especially football. So as I said, one of the things about these three sports in America that draws my attention the most is the seemingly intentional division of the seasons. Okay? It is almost as if the seasons were separate. Okay? They're not literally separate. And of course, I'm talking about the main seasons here. Okay? Just like Brazil, just like soccer here, there's like A series, B series, C series, D series, with different names. But you get my point, don't you? So yeah, talking about the main seasons, it is really, really interesting because football, let's start off with football, the most popular among the three. It starts something around August, okay, the main season, having the Super Bowl. Remember that name? Mentioned that a few minutes ago. So having the Super Bowl in February. Okay. So what the heck? Some of you may be wondering, what the heck is the Super Bowl then? You said it's not a pop stars or hip hop stars show, right? Yeah. So the Super Bowl basically is the final match of the championship. Okay, the main NFL championship, right? That's it. That's what Super Bowl is. Do a lot of people watch the matches during all over the season? Yeah. Do a lot of people watch the Super Bowl? No, it's not a lot of people. The whole world watches the Super Bowl, especially because it has become a tradition. So no matter the teams playing. Okay, it's not like here in Brazil. So say there's Palmeiras and Corinthians at the end of Brasileirão, for example. If you know about soccer, if you follow soccer, if you cheer for Flamengo, if you're Flamenguista, you're not gonna watch it. You're probably not gonna watch it, right? Or most Flamenguistas won't watch it, right? In there, it's different. It is a tradition. It's a country's tradition. All the country and lots of people in the world, more recently, thanks to the social medias, to the glamorization of the event, are watching it. Believe it or not. So that's why they're calling over, they're throwing pop stars, hip hop stars, concerts, little concerts, short concerts during the break. Okay, there's the first half, there's a second half, and in the middle of them there's the concert or something similar to that. Forgive my ignorance, guys. I don't understand much of football, as you can see. If you guys, if you know about American football, you know that I don't understand much, right? I'm not an expert, so feel free to drop a few lines here, correcting me or pointing out some interesting things that I may have missed in my comments. All right. So yeah, so let us recap from August to football, August to February. Okay, basketball, October to April. Okay, so from October to April, it is almost close to the to football, but it ends in 2 months later, right? Starts 2 months later, basically, and ends 2 months later, right? And the baseball starts off in March and goes up to October, September, October. So you see that there's this division. So if you're, for those in the United States that are fan of the three sports, it is amazing. It is just perfect. You don't have, except for a few periods, like a few hot spots, like February, March, and April, and November, December, January. Okay, apart from these hot spots with the coincidences, especially February to April, right, where the three leagues are going on simultaneously, aren't they? But anyways, there's this division, and the finals are happening in different periods for all the three sports. And perhaps this is the reason why these three sports are so cherished in the United States, because you can pretty much follow them all over the year and cheer for your favorite teams and everything like that. So tell me if you knew these pieces of information I've just brought. Feel free to drop your comments. As I said, tell me. I'm curious. I'm so much curious. What is your favorite of these three sports? Okay, would you consider or have plans in the future to start watching, following, cheering for a team of one of the three American major sports? Just let me know, and that will be all for today's episode. I thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Love company just as usually. And that's all for this episode. I see you in the next one. Bye.